This episode is all Jod, baby. Jod, it is such a fun character. I don't know if I love him or I hate him. As he said, the crew loves me. Nah, they love me. Do we love Jod? I guess is the question I've been left with at the end of this episode.
It's like a reverse redemption arc. He's just terrible. He's awful. The way he treats the kids in this episode, it's too far gone. It's extremely off the deep end. There's no room left in my heart for Jod after this.
Krypton to Alderaan. Krypton to Alderaan. Krypton to Alderaan. Krypton to Alderaan.
Welcome, everyone, to Krypton to Alderaan. I'm Joey, your Star Wars lover, and with me is Royish Goodlooks, your Star Wars song guy.
Hello, Joey. Hello, podcast.
Hello, and we're the podcast that analyzes nerdy pop culture, but it's mostly Star Wars, and this episode we will be talking about The Skeleton Crew, Episode 7. We're going to be in so much trouble. My mom totally lied. We're going to be in so much trouble. I love that line. But first, we got this episode that we're going to talk about here, and one more episode of Skeleton Crew left, so if you'd like to come back and hear us talk about the finale, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And that way, you're even notified about the stuff that we talk about next. And you get to come back for more. So hit the button, ring the bell. That's enough of that. Let's punch it. Yeah! So, second to last episode of the season. Maybe didn't go exactly the way we thought it would. You had said last week, Royce, that maybe we would be getting like a parent episode. I saw some people thought we might get a Jod flashback episode.
Ooh.
We didn't get any of that. We did get, though, the continuation of Jod's betrayal and maybe the insight into the mad captain or mad pirate that he actually is. How do you feel about Jod now seeing what we've seen of him in just the last 2 episodes?
Yeah, maybe we didn't get a fully parent episode, or I didn't know a Jod flashback episode was on the table. I would have gone for that. I did want more Jod, though. I've been saying that a bunch this season. Let's get to know Jod. He seems like a great character. Or maybe he's a complete pile of bantha poodoo. Seems like that is more the case. They've been setting up like a little bit of the parents at the beginning of some of these episodes. So cool that we did get like almost a full arc of them trying to get a message out. You could like supercut all of that together, and that could have been one of the episodes that we did get, all the little teaser scenes. I would say the last 2 weeks, we got lots of great time with the kids, and then this episode is all Jod, baby. Jod pulling his schemes with the pirates, and it's amazing. He's such a sneaky snake. This is like the second or third time he's gotten out of the airlock. Man, is he going to keep getting away with it through this season? Through maybe even next season? I don't know. It's fascinating that, he got the lightsaber back and he's using it in battle to take down SM-33. He's threatening the kids with it. At the very end of the episode, he's walking towards the parents and the kids with the lightsaber drawn, which I thought was a really interesting way to write his character. Not only does he have the lightsaber and he's like got the power in the room, but he's advancing on all of the good guys at the end, Brutus, he killed him in cold blood, and that's also very telling for Jod's character. But for him to just, I'm going to chop you kids up into little bits, I'm going to chop your parents up, and he's literally walking towards them at the end, and we've been going back and forth of like, is Jod going to get redeemed? Does he actually care about the kids? And it's very clear that Jod cares about the one thing he's cared about the whole time, and it's himself. An extension of that is the plunder, the biggest treasure in the galaxy. I'm really impressed with the acting. He makes this character feel evil. And, I wanted to learn more about Jod. The more I learn about him, the more I love the writing of the character, but the more I hate the character himself. And so I think that's good work on the writers. I still feel how I felt when we were on the spa planet, where, man, I thought you were going to be a good guy, and you're not just taking control of the ship to help the kids out of this sticky situation. You just want to help yourself. It's an interesting new way to write Star Wars villains. And I got to tell you, I guess I don't really know exactly how to feel about it, because I used to love Jod. As he said, the crew loves me. Nah, they love me. They love me. Man, do we love Jod? I guess is the question I've been left with at the end of this episode.
I think for me, even after the episode of him holding a knife to Fern's throat and making her relinquish her rights as captain to him in a very violent way to a child, I still might have been able to hold out hope for a redemption or a reason or something.
I had to do that because you guys didn't know what to do. You needed to follow me, and we could have turned the page.
Right. Either way, I wouldn't have been okay with the character having done that, but there maybe was some room for a redemption, but now just, it's too far gone. It's extremely off the deep end. There's no room left in my heart for Jod after this. The way he treats the kids in this episode, in terms of it being new to Star Wars, it's like a reverse redemption arc, which we see a lot in other things, but usually in Star Wars, we get the redemption arc over time, like most recently, right, Bad Batch with Crosshair. We get a huge redemption, a really good redemption arc. For this, it's been the opposite. And we were told, the characters in the show and us as the audience, the kids were told not to trust Jod. I was saying the same thing alongside the kids, like, he's not so bad. He's helping them. He's protecting them. He's giving them a hug when he rescues them on Akron. Even having been told by at least 2 characters not to trust him, I trusted him. And he completely turned on them. He's just so schemy, and you can see him like always trying to be like, what are you, an idiot, Brutus? Before he even knows what he's going to say next to try to save his skin. And he works his way out of the airlock. I was thinking when he's in the airlock and the other character, the other pirate's about to press the button, and he's going, no, 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 no. I was wondering if he was trying to do like a Jedi mind trick to save himself a little bit there, because he's trying to talk to 33, but he's also trying to keep the guy from pressing the button. So was there a little bit of force usage there? I think that's kind of like maybe a little bit of fun headcanon for me. So it wasn't all bad. Like you said, I really liked the way they were kind of like writing the character. But then when he shoots Brutus like that, that's brutal. And goodbye to the theory that the beginning of the show, the opening scene of the show, is the last scene of the show. He just shoots him while he's like bound up, and then calls him a backstabbing mutineer. It's like, you just did that. And then he escapes with the kids on the Onyx Cinder. When he's waving that lightsaber in front of them, like a psychopath, like that is so scary.
Bart, you want to see my new chainsaw and hockey mask?
Exactly like that. Yes, exactly. So the look in his face, and he's waving the lightsaber around. And in that scene, he's talking about chopping their parents up if they tell the truth and don't follow his lead, regardless that he just yelled at them and yelled at Neil and made Wim cry. He's just terrible. He's awful. He's just a bad guy. I mean, in the very essence of the word, he is a bad guy. It's a little bit refreshing to maybe have a Star Wars villain like this, where we might not have to hope about like a redemption. We've got 1 episode left. It can just kind of be a like cut and dry thing. Yeah, he's just a bad guy, which I just did not expect.
Yeah, I mean, he straight up snaps, you know, I had to write it down. He says, shut up, you're incessant, unending, jabber, jabber, jabber. Honestly, it is unbearable. And I mean, we've all been in these moments where you're dealing with somebody and you're like, I've had enough. Will you just give me a break here? But for him as the Crosshair, the reluctant father figure, to do that to the kids, you're like, you're so close. This could be the moment you rise to the occasion, you know? And instead he's like, no, I'm so close to the plunder, and forget these kids. I'll push them out of the airlock. Honestly, like, he could have done that, and that might have made the rest of his journey even easier. You know, now he's got to deal with the kids actually being there. I love that you brought up these light bulb moments, though, where you're saying, like, he doesn't really think things through, but he gets all these brilliant ideas and these brilliant one-liners of how to get to the next step. It is such a fun character. Like I said, I don't know if I love him or I hate him. He is a lot of fun. That the crew loves me line, and Brutus saying, we'll see. And then you brought up Jod shooting Brutus when he's held in the little claw machine there. The claw. Brutus is saying, oh, the kids are cowards. They're not going to come out and fight. And this was such an interesting kind of full circle-y moment. Neil says, you know, the brave thing to do is not to fight and to say you're sorry. And like, there the kids are hiding, and they could kill Brutus, and they're threatening, we're going to kill this guy. But you know, they're not, they're not going to do that. That's not what the kids would do. Brutus was calling them cowards for not coming out and fighting, though, right? Or not surrendering, I guess. You said Jod's not thinking through a lot of things, but he does take some time to calculate, maybe not far off in the future, but he calculates, like, what happens if I take out Brutus right now? He looks down at him, he looks up at the kids, and he kills Brutus. And of course, the kids are like, oh no, oh, it's getting real. It's getting real for the kids, and it's getting real for you and I, Joey. And then they give him another really great, quick monologue, the stinking, backstabbing mutineer, and you want to follow him? And yet here you are, you're going to follow Jod, the guy that just killed him in cold blood when he couldn't defend himself.
Who's a stinking, backstabbing mutineer.
Oh my goodness. I mean, it's scary. And then they all do. They all blindly follow him. It's so interesting, the dichotomy of the kids working together and believing in each other's strengths, and Brutus calling them cowards. And later when Jod is berating them and he's saying, all of you all suck. You're the worst one, Wim. Which another meta moment. You're like, actually, Jod, you're the worst one of the pirates. All of the pirates want to throw you out of the airlock. It's such a funny meta moment within the show. And then more great acting from the kids. Wim is shedding a tear. He's looking down. He's looking back up. It reminded me of Luke, like watching his aunt and uncle burn, where he's like taking a minute to like acknowledge the pain of this moment where you're like, my hero is letting me down,
Yeah.
Not exactly the same with Luke, but kind of the similar, my world's come crashing down on me. Like his dad in the hologram, his dad tells him, you were supposed to find out when you were older. He's too young to have someone betray him like this. And then Fern is pissed. She's so pissed. And Jod just says, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You're all weak. Weak, sheltered, spoiled children, which is not true. Jod is the one spoiled. He's got the Force. This guy who doesn't deserve the power at any point in the show has the power and like holds on to it. And I was a little bit disappointed that the kids did not fight back enough with Jod, but they're clearly really scared of him because he's got the lightsaber and he's threatening. I still want some more kids getting the best of Jod.
I would love for the kids to get the best of Jod. Speaking of that, I think Jod doesn't necessarily think his plans through. He jumps on the Onyx Cinder. So he's with the kids when they make it to Aden. Right after shooting Brutus, the pirates are going to think that he abandoned them to take the treasure for himself. The pirates don't know that the kids overpowered them on the ship. I guess there's some pirates knocked out there. But the rest of the pirates in Vane, they're like, why did you let the Onyx Cinder go, right? They're going to think he like left to get the treasure for himself. So they might be Jod's undoing. I don't know. Maybe they'll make it through the barrier. All they have to do is like blast those storm generators and they'll make it through the barrier. I would love for the kids to be Jod's undoing at this point, or at least lock him up, put him in jail and at Aden or something, especially with him knowing that the greatest treasure in the galaxy is right there and he can't have it. It's just been such a big betrayal that I would love to see the kids get justice/revenge on Jod. Wim had the opportunity to learn the most on this adventure, like we've talked about from where he started versus now. And he thought Jod was a Jedi, and he looked up to Jod. Jod did become his hero, and he like opened up to Jod and told him about when he was missing his dad, and he only has his dad. Jod made them all feel safe and made Wim feel like he could open up to him like that. And then in this episode, he uses it against him.
Dude, he gave him a pep talk.
Yeah, a little bit crappy of being like, you have to let go of all your attachments.
He said he had vision, though, and then now he's saying, but you're weak. It's like, oh, come on, man.
Yeah, they're children. Like, he used what Wim opened up to him about as a weapon. The degree to which Jod has betrayed these kids is one of the biggest, like, heartbreaking betrayals in Star Wars. They are children, and they are very competent and smart, and they are putting things together and figuring things out that he is not. He's only gotten this far because of them, and they keep besting him. Man, because of this betrayal, I would love to see them get some kind of like justice against Jod. Like you're saying, Jod approaching them at the very end of the episode with the lightsaber out, that's going to mean such different things to each group of people. Like to the kids, they're going to know that that's a threat. To the parents, they're going to think that that's a symbol of trust. The lightsaber is a symbol of the Jedi and the Republic, and he's labeled as the Republic emissary, so he must be trustworthy. He brought our kids back to us. We told our kids to find a Republic emissary in the message. That's what they must have done. And so here's this guy, and he's got a lightsaber. So he's a hero for returning our kids to us.
Maybe.
So it means trust to the parents, and it means threat to the kids. That's a great cliffhanger to lead into the finale on, I think.
Yeah, the speculation could go a lot of different ways. It's a great cliffhanger anyway, because what's going to happen next? They're going to clash. How is it going to happen? I don't know. I think Jod is igniting the lightsaber there to remind the kids not to sell him out. The kids are scared of him, and the parents are going to be confused and maybe scared. I don't know if they're going to be like, ooh, a Jedi. We have so many questions for you. Can you come on our podcast? Like they're going to be confused and scared. And I think he's going to say, here's my speculation. He's going to say, you got a communication out earlier. Do it again. Send it to my ship and get my ship to come in. He already wanted to talk to the pirate ship. So that might still be on his mind. Maybe not. I don't know. It's kind of weird because he could have just said, load me up and gone from there. They're setting it up for some kind of conflict, it would seem. But we're deep in the episode now, and so we can bring up the boring runtime statistics. The average for this season now is 39 minutes, so we can reasonably expect a 39-minute finale. Is it enough time for a pirate battle, for this, like, besting Jod? Like, that's another classic question when we get to the end of these series. How do they wrap it all up? There's really not a lot to wrap up, but, what angle are they going to take? And how will they be able to pull that off without leaving us on another cliffhanger? How do you do a season 2 of adventures with these 4 kids? They're never letting them off the planet again unless the kids become the supervisor somehow. I don't see Skeleton Crew being a recurring series, but I can also see Jod getting away at the end.
It would be really funny to see Jod get away. I don't know how they would follow that up with the sequel. I don't know if there's been talks of a second season or not. I don't think any of these things are set up as a one and done, but I think there's a lot of cool potential here.
The world building, I love the world building there's 5 other sister planets. Like, that's so cool.
Right. There's a lot to go on. Also, when we get to this stage in a show, we start to speculate and theorize on stuff that we never get answers for. Like these murals that are everywhere. There's a mural in Fern's home. We see the same mural or a similar mural at Akron. We see a mural on the vault in this episode, right? So what are those murals all about? Of course, there's Jod backstory that we don't have. There's probably so many pirate stories you can tell. And like I said, maybe in the first episode that we covered, seeing Fern and 33 take the Onyx Cinder out in the galaxy and just be pirates, I'd watch that show. For sure, I'd watch that show.
Well, so that's how it has to end then. They have to continue to be pirates. If they don't continue to be pirates, there's not another season. Unless we follow other pirates. Skeleton Crew is about just other pirate crew. Like that wouldn't be the case.
Let's make Skeleton Crew the Stranger Things of the Star Wars galaxy and just every season have these kids off doing a different adventure. And we also have to figure out who the supervisor is. I mean, come on, they can't leave that hanging out there. The voice actor was listed in the credits. I didn't look because I didn't want the potential surprise of next episode spoiled for me. So I didn't watch the credits to see who exactly that was speaking. We have to learn who the supervisor is, and hopefully that's a surprise. Hopefully that's like a fun thing. There's so much of the Old Republic jewels and stuff like that. There's a lot of lore and, like you're saying, world building that they set up that probably won't be light shed upon next episode. And it would be fun to continue an adventure like this because I've really enjoyed this show. It was just fun and funny. I just really enjoyed the vibe of it. I really enjoyed SM33. I even loved in this episode when SM33 decks Jod and says, close enough, when Fern says unclaimsies, I claim the ship. That's just, I know that might be a little bit silly, but it fits with the character and the vibe of SM33 so well. And SM33 obviously respects Fern as a captain. It's a very genie in Aladdin thing there. The genie doesn't want to be the genie for the bad guy. SM33 doesn't want Jod to be the captain. So it's just a fun moment, and it was a very funny line. I really liked this show. It's just been a fun ride.
Yeah, I know it's not over yet, so who knows how we'll feel about it next week, but we return to all the Star Wars shows at some point in time, but I think this will be one of the more satisfying ones to return to. It's because it's been solid week to week, aside from the runtime being short and kind of up and down for a few of the weeks. Story-wise, just like you mentioned at the top of the show, like we've been with the kids from episode 1. We didn't take any kind of sidestep episodes where we're only with the parents or even only with the pirates, which I think still would have been fair for the story that this had set up. But we've been hanging out with these kids the whole time. We've been hanging out with Jod the whole time. It has been a really fun show. This is probably, excluding next week, the least amount of complaints I've had for a Star Wars show thus far, which I suppose is a good thing. Like, it's a good thing. This is a good Star Wars show. Can we make that the title of this pod?
That's a really funny review.
All right, listeners, let's keep this conversation going. We would love to hear from you. Leave your comments here on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe and tune in next week for our finale and also for more nerdy pop culture, but mostly Star Wars. Thanks for listening to the podcast today. I've been Royce.
I've been not Jod, because he sucks.
And we've been Krypton
to
Alderaan.
Toxic Maelstrom. I liked it when Brutus said that.